Assalamu alaikum. We'll come to the second part of the female reproductive system, which is the female reproductive system function and the cycle or the menstrual cycle. So the objective for this session, we have to find the oogenesis and the ovarian cyst, describe the influence of follicle stimulating hormone and lactogenic hormone in the ovarian function, list the hormones produced by the ovarians and its role, discuss the phases of control of menstrual cycle. So those are the objectives that we will cover. The female reproductive function, the total supply of ova or egg that in female can release is determined by the time she is born. So the from the time of birth, the ovary is having the primary numbers of follicles that have the ova. The female reproductive ability usually begin during the puberty and in the age of 50s or sometime before, which is the age of menopause, as they said, or they describe it. It might be early, it might be late in some women. The period in which the woman reproductive capability gradually decline and then finally end, which is called the menopause. Reproductive life of the female, it is mostly, they consider it mostly from the age of 15 to 45, and it depends upon many factors, depend upon the climate also. So in hot area, maturation will happen early, so it might be from early as 11 years, or sometime it might be late until the age of 55 years. The oogenesis is the process of producing the ova in the female. We discussed previously the oogenesis in male and how it will end with the production of sperm. Here we will discuss the oogenesis of the ova, that the mitosis and the cell division until it reaches to form an ova. So the oogenesis are female stem cells found in the development in the developing fetus. The oogenia, so the oogenia is the primary cell that will produce later the ova. So the oogenia undergo mitosis to produce a primary oocyte. So primary oocyte will be produced to produce a primary oocyte that are surrounded by cells that form the primary follicles in the ovary, that will form primary follicles. So at puberty, those follicles will stimulating hormone. The follicle is stimulating at puberty. There is a follicle stimulating hormone, which cause some primary follicles, those primary follicles, to become mature. So the follicle stimulating hormone, the effect of it, it will lead to maturation of the primary follicles and production of ova, which cause some primary follicles to mature each month, and ovulation occur in each month. So this cycle change occurring monthly, which is constitute the ovarian cycle. It is constitute the ovarian cycle or the menstrual cycle. The female reproductive cycle After puberty, as we said, the female undergo two concurrent cycles with related hormone changes. During 28, the length of the cycle, mostly it is 28 days in most of the women. It might be more than that in some women, but it's mostly, if it is regular, it will be 28 days. All are controlled by the gonadotrophic hormone. So they are controlled, this cycle and this changes, it is controlled by the gonadotrophic hormone of the anterior pituitary gland, Those hormones are the follicle stimulating hormone and lactogenic hormone. You get it previously in semester 1 with the endocrine. So the follicle stimulating hormone and lactogenic hormone are the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone from the anterior pituitary gland. Those hormones control the ovarian cycle. So both the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, they are controlling the ovarian cycle or the menstrual cycle. The ovarian follicle, if they reduce the hormones, which is estrogen from the follicle cell and progesterone from the corpus luteum. So estrogen from the follicle cell, which is the cell during the process of formation, of maturation of the ova, and the progesterone in the corpus luteum after the rupture and the ova is coming out. This hormone act on the endometrium. So they will act in the endometrium of the uterus in order to prepare the uterus to receive the ova, the fertilized ova. It will cause changes which is called the menstrual cycle. It will cause the changes that we call it the menstrual cycle, which the span of it is 28 days. So the menstrual or uterine cycle, what will happen in the menstrual or the uterine cycle? The cyclic changes of the endometrium and hormonal, which depend upon the hormonal changes and level of hormones during those periods. So the cycle change of the endometrium, which is the mucosa of the uterus, it lasts about, as we said, 28 days of length. It is regulated by the cyclic production of estrogen and progesterone. So the cyclic production of estrogen and progesterone, it will regulate that menstrual cycle. The stages of the menstrual cycle from day 1 to day 5, which is the menstrual phase, day 1 to day 5. The functional layer of the endometrium is sloughed, separated from the dead tissues. It will be separated from the wall of the uterus, and it will start to bleed and to come out. The day here, from day 6 to day 14, it is called the proliferative phase or stage. This proliferative stage, it is the regeneration, rebuilding of the coat of the uterus or the endometrium. So it will regeneration of the functional layer, so it will be rebuilt again, and blood vessels is formed and it will become thick. From the day 15 to day 28, which is the secretory stage, the endometrium increase in size and it will be ready for implantation. If implantation doesn't happen, in this case, again, what will happen? We will come back to the first phase, which is the menstrual phase, that the sloughing of the endometrium, it will happen, and it will go out from the vagina as vaginal bleeding with that with the endometrium will come out with it. So it is of 3 phases. The first, the phase from 1 to 5 days, it is what the endometrium will slough. From day 6 to day 14, it is the regulation, which is called the preparatory stage, which is the preparation for of the functional layer, building up the endometrium. And during the day 14, usually ovulation occur. So ovulation occur during the day 14. If fertilization happened, in this case, when the ova is coming, the endometrium, it will be ready to get it and implant it in the wall of the uterus, and then development will happen, start to develop, and the structure of the fetus and also the placenta will form until birth. But if the ova is not fertilized, then the cycle, it will be continued in the same way for in those 3 phases every 28 days. The hormone production of the ovaries, we have the estrogen. The estrogen are produced by the follicle cells, so it is produced by the follicle cells. In addition to its function, it is in the menstrual cycle and the endometrium. It also stimulates and maintain the secondary sex characteristic. So it is maintaining the secondary sex characteristic of the female, which is enlargement of the accessory organs, like the breast, development of the breast, appearance of pubic hair also, increase in fat beneath the skin, increase the subcutaneous tissue, subcutaneous fat, and winding and lightening of the pelvis, widening and lightening of the pelvis. The pelvis, it has to be wide in order to have birth canal, or to be easier for the fetus after fully development to pass through the vaginal canal, and onset of menstruation. So it will have the onset of menstruation. So enlargement of the accessory organs, and development of the breast, and appearance of pubic hair, increase the fat beneath the skin, the subcutaneous tissues, and widening and lightening of the pelvis bone, pelvic bone, and onset of menstruation. The progesterone is produced by the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum here, after the rupture of the Graafian follicle and the ova is leaving, then what is formed is what we call it the corpus luteum. It will produce the progesterone, which is produced by the corpus luteum, as we said, does not contribute to the appearance of the secondary cells, of the secondary sex characteristic. Other major effect, it helps in maintaining of pregnancy. So it will continue its secretion. If pregnancy happens, it will continue its secretion in order to maintain the pregnancy and prevent the fetus from coming out as abortion. It prepares the breast for milk production. Also, it will prepare the breast for milk production. So those are the function of the reproductive system. Thank you.